Okay. We need to talk about first, or anything else. Well, school have schedules. There ain't much left. I got stuff right. 4-3, 4-5, 4-5, 4-6. You usually need extra with that, so 4.1. I'll switch over to yellow. Let me this be in yellow now. 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, 4-3, B, 4-4, quiz number 10, 4-4B. We don't have any juniors in here. 4-5, 4-5B, 4-6. You all usually take it's not 4-6. We're skipping 4-6. We're going to do 4-7 and 4-7B. Quiz 11. 4-8, 4-8B. Review. Review. Quiz. Number 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. Okay. I know that our case managers like this. I know that our students like this. But the way things line up right now, if we don't have any interruptions, if we can stay on the schedule that I think we can stay on, I think that that's how we can do this. Okay. Actually, wait, you're maroon 3. Be that day. In the past, what I've tried to do for this class, because I know that if you are in this class, you probably have other work to do. You probably have other stuff by the end of every semester that kind of has you in a do or die situation in at least one other class. Okay? Because some of us just, you know what, school or maybe our life decisions lead us towards, oh crap, I got like 2 weeks to do the last 2 months of work. Okay? And I know that happens sometimes. So what I try to do with this class, and what I have done in the past, is, and I can do this, like we double checked, we will have the first half of chapter 4 and then a quiz right before midterm. So you will have, what's today, Wednesday? Monday's quiz and the next one, quiz 10. Again, this is tentative. This isn't dead on, but this is usually how the last of the semester goes, where we're going to do the first half of Chapter 4, Quiz 10, that's midterm. Your midterm grade will be 100% accurate, ready to roll. Then the second half of Chapter 4 with Quiz 11, 4.8 isn't actually in the normal packet. If you actually go through here, I stuffed some of our handouts in there again. Okay, I wasn't able to do that last time. I just, lost track of time. And then, lo and behold, those are the things in Chapter 3 that a whole bunch of you didn't do because it wasn't stapled into the rest of your papers. So I've got them in there now. 4.8 is an extra thing where in place of doing a bunch of really ugly factoring at the end of this chapter, I'm going to give you the keys to the nuclear launch code. Instead of doing factoring stuff, we're going to do basic factoring, and then I'm going to show you quadratic formula and we're going to practice it. Okay? Because every quadratic, whether it has nice answers or nasty fraction answers or decimal answers, radical answers, imaginary answers. There is such thing as imaginary numbers and imaginary answers. Every single quadratic that you could ever run across can be solved with quadratic formula, top row, fourth from the left. That big honking formula with A, B, and C all over. Okay? So that's how we're going to end it. And because that's outside of our regular Chapter 4 stuff, what I'm going to do is take a couple of days for that, a couple of days for review, and then what I would like to do is split our final into 2 days of review test on the 19th and 23rd of May, so that during our actual final days, you have that opportunity to work on stuff for other classes because I guarantee you need it. Okay? In the past when I've done this, I know Miss Winslion, last year Miss Franson, were just like, yes, because then they use that time to pester you to get the rest of your stuff done. Okay? That's my intention. I will make you the deal, I have checked this with our admin before, that if we got anyone in inclusion algebra who has their final done with me, who has done 80% or more of their work for the semester, who is taking care of business, and you are done with my stuff, you are passing your other classes, then on that 25th, when you should be doing your final in here, I just tell you don't show up. You get to leave at 11:24. Okay? Kind of a little carrot for you. Now, would it behoove you to use that afternoon to work on the stuff for the other classes that you have finals for? Yes. But it's something that I can offer you because generally this is something I try to do for this class. I don't do it for my other classes, especially if they're in my everyday 90-minute everyday pre-calc. They come in for 2 days of finals, back-to-back 90-minute finals. Okay, it's a big one.
I don't like the 90-minute classes anymore.
Well, so I mean, it's 20 questions per day. It comes out about right. So
How long are the questions?
they're multiple choice. Most kids who hear it's a multiple choice final are like, yeah! Okay, y'all seen Ragnarok? Where Thor comes out and he sees Hulk and he's like, yeah! That's my buddy! He's a friend from work. And then Hulk smacks the crap out of him. That's what happens, is they don't understand that a real multiple choice test is written in such a way that it's not just pick between these two things. You all know what a bad multiple choice test is because teachers are notoriously bad at making multiple choice tests. Where it's option A, B, C, D. D is Kermit the Frog. C is the name of the teacher of the class. And then A and B are the two historical figures you're supposed to look at. Like, that's not a real multiple choice test. No, when I do multiple choice, it's you have 5 options. This one is correct. These other four, I go and make the exact error that students most likely make on that type of problem, and I run it all the way to the end zone and put that wrong answer on there. Because that's how a multiple choice test like an ACT or an AccuPlacer is done. Because I kind of helped write tests like that. Y'all know the Smarter Balance test? Sorry.
You did that?
I was on the editing team for it when it first piloted about 12 years ago. The Minnesota MCA,
That was you too?
I actually wrote about like a quarter of that section. I did all of the Algebra 2 stuff. So I know how to write a test. Now, I haven't been in Minnesota for 12 years now, but they have to pass their junior test to graduate. So, but yes, just talk about finals and all that. I know that y'all could really use that extra time, or maybe if you took care of business, just earned that extra time. So this is kind of what we're looking at for the rest of the year. Okay?
Wait, so like if we're passing this class and our other ones, we don't have to take a final?
Oh, no. You're taking your final in here on those days.
Oh, okay.
In this class, I am doing your final early so that you can use this time to focus on your other finals.
All right.
And it's going to be just like everything else that we do. It's going to be review, test, just like you did on Monday.
Yeah.
It's just going to be 2 days of it. Okay? Where basically the first one is review test, chapter 3. Review test, chapter 4. Actually, those will be all-day tests because we're going to review before it. So they'll be bigger. Instead of 6 questions, it'll probably be about 12. Okay? Okay, maybe 18. It depends on the complexity of them. I time them. So. So. That is the general plan, yes, sir?
So, wouldn't you technically be able to just do the final in one day?
No. I'm giving it to you.
18 questions.
I'm giving it to you in 2 pieces. No, you are not doing all of it on one day and then not showing up on the other.
Never say you wouldn't show up.
No, it's going to be half and half. So, y'all got your packet. Let's start. Chapter 4. Here we go. What?
How was it great for chapter 3?
What?
Did you put in our grades yet?
I will answer that with a math problem.
It's gonna be 0.
Do y'all remember? Y'all remember how to find common denominators on fractions?
What?
Like if I say 1/2 plus 1/5, I have to multiply this by 5, this by 5, this by 2, this by 2. Turn that into 5/10 plus 2/10 to make 7/10. Y'all remember that?
I remember.
Okay.
Glad we don't.
So what was that? 25, so that's 12, 5, 12, 30, 115, 3/4. That's still going to be 2 3/4. 2 3/4 plus 3 by 1/6 plus There's our warm-up problem for the day.
Oh my god.
Solve.
Can I use my phone as a calculator?
No.
We want you to do solve. Because he's the one who has to.
Solve.
No, I'm terrible at math.
Yeah, well, you have to punish us for shame. You should hit him on
3 halves, 3 halves, 7 fourths, 7 fourths, 3 halves.
We'll give it a shot. That's the answer. We are all.
No.
Oh no.
How do I get it?
Quit. Right next to second, which you have to press to get quit. The blue second button.
Oh.
Next to it, in blue, above insert, it says quit.
I keep on messing up.
Oh, above mode. Sorry.
Yeah. Press mode.
Second that to get the blue stuff above it. That's how most calculators work. You'll have a secondary feature above a button. Solvey, solvey. And the 3 halves. 3 halves and 3 halves. Alpha y equals brings up a fraction box. Alpha y equals it brings up a fraction menu. You hit enter on n over d. I got 3 halves, 3 halves, 5 1, 7 fourths, 7 fourths, 3 halves, 21 eighths plus another half is 1 half by 4 by 4. So 21, 25 eighths, that part. And then 5, 75, 25 sixteenths, 5 sixteenths, 4. Oh, I'm being too generous over here.
Oh.
There we go. I was being a little too generous on the right side.
Yeah, I found out that I don't solve it.
I had it right the first time. Okay, it doesn't matter. Y'all got this typey? I'm betting you don't remember how to solve it, though. This is what I did yesterday, and I think that's more correct. Do you remember how to multiply fractions? Okay. To divide by a fraction, flip the second multiply. To multiply, you just multiply straight across. This is 6 fourths plus 3 6 plus. Do you remember how to turn a mixed number into an improper fraction? 1 and 1/2. You're going to put that away, Micah. We lost that privilege. You multiply and then add. So if I have 3 quarters times 3 halves, that's 9 eighths. To multiply or to add together fractions, you need common denominators. What is the smallest number that 4, 6, and 8 all go into? Into, not into 16. Them. No.
32.
You're just saying random numbers.
1.
Stop it. Count by 4s, count by 6s, count by 8s. What's the first number that they all have?
36.
8,
16.
Smaller.
16.
3. Yeah, 16.
6 does not go into 16 evenly.
I meant 32.
30.
I could use 32, but I would rather use 24 because it's a smaller one. But yes. Yo, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. 6, 12, 18, 24. 8, 16, 24. They all go into 24. Okay. So to get them into 24ths, I need to multiply this one by 6 and 6, getting 36 24ths. To multiply this times 4 times 4, getting 12 24ths. Plus, take this times 3 times 3, getting 27 24ths. Now they're all over 24. Add together the top, the numerators. What is 36 plus 12 plus 27? No.
75.
Yes. 75 24ths is 3/4 z. What does 3/4 do in a z? All smashed together like that. And dividing by fractions, I heard it's easy, almost like pi. Flip that thing and multiply. Do you remember cross-canceling? What is 4 divided by 4?
1.
What's 24 divided by 4? 6. What's 3 divided by 3?
1.
What's 75 divided by 3?
25.
3, 3, 4, 4. Multiply straight across. 25, 6. Or 4 and 1/6. Take 25 divided by 6. Should get 14.1. 66666666666666666.
4.16. 4.16.
That was the total amount of sleep that I got in 2 days.
So, 4 hours 16 minutes?
Yes. 4 hours and 1/6 of an hour. So 4 hours, 10 minutes.
Ooh.
Baby bear been sick. And the only way that he can sleep is upright on me while I sit awkwardly on the couch and pinch my back. And then he just sits there and because he's so gunked up and literally can't breathe if he lays down. So, are those grades in?
No.
Oh, hell no. Yes, I can. Hell and damn are allowed in PG movies. So, no. Now, last night we finally got back to about 6 hours of sleep, so I'm somewhat human right now. But before that, it was really bad. Last 2 days I've been held up purely by caffeine and spite. I will get them in when I get them in. When I get them in, I always text you anyway, so no point asking me until I send the text. 4-1, before I can start talking about polynomials, I gotta know what a polynomial even is. Today is mostly about vocabulary, not even math, but just words. Because we gotta know words to even know what the crap's going on. How many times have you gotten to a question, you know how to answer the question, but you don't know what the question is asking? Like after one of us teachers came along and said, well, how do you think? Then you know what's going on. But if you just read the question yourself, yeah, I don't know. Okay? So we have to take care of that first. There are 2 parts to the word polynomial. polynomial. Hey, aren't the whole lot of you sophomores?
Yeah.
Doesn't that mean you're in biology?
Yeah.
Have you heard of binomial nomenclature?
Yes.
Binomial means two terms. Bi means two, mono means one, tri means three, quad means four, and on and on and on. So poly means more than one. That's all it means. Poly means more than one. Okay? If you know of someone who is polyamorous, that is someone who is in a romantic relationship with multiple people. Okay? Not just someone who's cheating and being a jerk, but like that is their legit open relationship status. Okay? There are people who have a poly set, like a group of people who are all together. Okay? If you're not, if that's not your jam and that's not how you are mature enough to establish that relationship, then okay. Different people live different ways. If you can do so respectfully, then fine. Most people aren't mature enough to handle that respectfully. Poly means more than one. So when I talk about polynomials, this whole chapter, polynomials is all about things that got multiple terms. Okay? Like you all know the whole genus species thing, right? You do that with biology. You have two names for a critter or for a plant. You are given those two names because those two names are A, in a dead language, so the meaning of them doesn't change. B, it allows me to classify them. For example, the majority of you have two or more names. You have your given name and your surname. Your given name is you. Your surname would be your family, your clan, your tribe, your sect, your whatever social grouping a particular culture has. Okay? I name you by first name, last name, because that is you and your family, right? Well, you do the same thing with biology. We're going to have the same thing here. Polynomial means more than one term. So I'm going to have more than one term, like terms are things that are split by plus and minus. You remember doing that way back when? Every time we run into a plus or a minus, it's a new term. If we don't remember that off the top of our head, I would suggest writing it, that terms are things separated by plus or minus. Okay? Terms are things that are separated by plus or minus. So I threw a bunch of plus or minuses in there just to be irritating. Okay? Because each of those words was separated by a plus or a minus. So they would all be different terms of my sentence. So we're going to name our polynomials two ways. Way number one, I'm going to name it by its number of terms. And it sounds an awful lot like the way we did polygons back in elementary school. If something has only one term, it is called a monomial because mono means one. You ever messed around with the settings on your headphones and it's mono or stereo?
Yeah.
Mono means one. It's a single output that goes to both speakers. Stereo is a different word that means multiple or both, because you can have surround sound stereo where it goes to like 7 different speakers around the room. Okay.
Stereo is just two.
Stereo is typically 2, where you have left, right. Okay. Monomial. Mono means one. Nomial means term. I smash those two together and I get one term. Now, one term can be something nice and simple, like 4b to the 5th. It could be even simpler, 2. That's a monomial. It's one term. I could also have 31x to the 17th y to the 25th over pi root of 648 x to the e.
What? One.
Do you see a plus or a minus anywhere in there?
No.
One term. That's a monomial. It's a disgusting monomial, but it is one term.
Even 4v5.
Okay? So they can get really, really big and ugly. Most of the ones that we're going to deal with are going to be nice and small like this. Okay? Next up, we have binomials. Binomial. You know what? You. There. You. There. I'm blabbing too much, so you can come right up here, and then I'm going to hit you with this if you do anything wrong. Nah, I ain't going to hit you, but I might smack you a little. Binomial means two terms. I see two terms. Okay? Anytime I run into a plus or a minus, we're going to chop it up. 7h squared plus 1. Trinomial, you're starting to get the hint. Trinomial, there's three terms. Now, I could keep using different prefixes. I could keep going. I could say quadrinomial, quintinomial, hexanomial, heptanomial, octanomial, nonanomial, decanomial. I can keep going. But once we hit 4 or more, in math, we just kind of say, screw it, it's a polynomial. Because poly means more than one. Okay? In fact, we often call all of these polynomials, including monomials, just like your thumb is also a finger. I just say these are my fingers, but this one is special, right? So we're going to name our polynomials two ways. Way number one, I'm going to count up how many terms there are, and I'm going to call it a monomial, binomial, trinomial, or polynomial. Just how many things are there. That's it. Okay, nice and simple, but those are also kind of big words. So if I saw them without going through it, you'd be like, I don't know. Okay. Down here, we're going to talk about the degree of a polynomial. Okay, now you all know, you probably heard degree like temperature, how many degrees it is outside. Isn't that kind of a measurement of how big or small it is, how much heat there is? Okay, maybe there's a college degree, there's an associate's and a bachelor's and a doctorate. Okay. Okay. I completely forgot master's in the middle of that. Okay. Maybe what degree black belt that particular martial arts star is. Okay. A degree is a ranking. And I'm going to look at what degree it is based on just who's the biggest exponent. You all know how a social group works. Isn't there the one big dog? The one who says, we're going to go get lunch at Taco Bell, and everyone just kind of goes along with it? Okay? The one who says, what are we doing this weekend? And then everyone just looks at that person. Or they're just the louder one, and everyone follows suit. They're just the most obnoxious one, so everyone does what they said. Okay? The degree of a polynomial is going to be whatever the biggest exponent is in it. So like this one. The exponent is a 1. Remember those little invisible ones? The exponent is a 3. It's a degree 3. There is no variable on this, so that's kind of like x to the 0 is right next to it. Do you remember your exponential properties from all the way back in September? What is anything to the 0 power?
0.
No.
1.
1. Ooh. That's the stuff that we have in note cards. I want you to turn around and look. Kevin's right back there like, gotcha, fam. He's got it. Okay. In this one, see how there's more than one term? More than one term means I look at my terms separately and say, well, this guy's popular, but this guy's really popular. I'm going to listen to him. Don't do that. But that's high school, right? So I'm going to say that it's a degree 3 because that's the big dog, okay? That's the one that makes more impact on the group. Here I see a 2, a 1, and a 0. Well, who's the big dog? You look for the biggest exponent in the expression, and that tells you the degree. Now, sometimes you're going to have a term where it's got several variables smashed together. We ran across these in our exponent chapter way back when. And when that happens, you have to combine the exponents. You say 4 plus 5. So altogether, that one has a degree of 9. So like down here, see how this has a degree of 4, and this has a degree of 3. Right now, I might be thinking, well, he's the big dog. But what happens when I look at these two in the middle? By our powers combined, that actually has a degree of 5. Okay?
So, say we have an x to the power of 2 and then a y right next to it. Do we just put a 1 up there and
Yep.
add both of those?
That is exactly correct. If I had x squared y, then its degree is actually 3 because there's a little invisible 1 there. It's the total of the exponents on each term, and then you pick the biggest one. Okay? So we're going to name our stuff like that. Now, the book that we are in right now, they like just saying degree this, and that's it. We're going to go a little more in depth than that because y'all big kids. Okay? We got, where's a spot? Right down here. You got room. I want you to write degree and name. We're going to learn some more words than just that. If I have degree 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll say 6 plus. Okay, we're going to give those their special names. And that's what we're going to use. The book really wants us to just say degree 3 and quit. No. We're going to get the real big kid words for it. Okay? If something is degree 0, so like x to the 0, well, what was anything to the 0? 1. No, we're not talking about how many terms now. We're talking about the exponents, the degree. We already did that. Like if I had 5x to the 0, well, there's only one term there. It's a monomial. But in terms of degree, because x to the 0 is 1, that means it's 5 times 1. That means it's just 5. Do you see a variable anymore? So if it doesn't have a variable, that means its value will never vary. It is constant. It has no variable with it. So it is constant. It is always going to be 5. If I have 1, a degree of 1, I want to get my right colors here. There we go. It is called linear. You spent a good chunk of time on these. Y equals x, right? It makes a line.
So does that mean 2 is quadratic?
And when we hit x squared, if 2 is the biggest exponent we ever see, it is quadratic. All right. Does anyone remember when you were doing like surface area and volume? We said that it was like 20 meters cubed, right? So when I go to degree 3, it's called a cubic. If I go to 4, it's called a quartic. If I go to 5, it's called a quintic. And I can keep going with those same prefixes. I can say there's a hexic and a heptic and a octic and a nonic, and I can keep going and going and going and going and going. No, it depends on what context it's in. Is that not duodecagon? That's 20. It's not centagon. It's something decagon. Like decidecagon? I'd have to Google because we never get them. Like we don't use them most of the time. That's a good question. I don't know. And here's the thing: is after a certain point, just like with our polynomials counting for 4 and more, once we hit a certain point, they just say, screw it, it's a degree 6. So I'm going to say degree n. So whatever it is. So if I have like a degree 7, I'm just going to say it's degree 7. Okay. At a certain point, mathematicians don't really like using words anymore. We just use symbols. Okay. Now these only work if I have one variable at all. If I have more than one variable, these terms don't work. You'll just say it's a what degree, an n degree. Okay. All right, we got all our vocabulary. It's putting into practice. Today is actually pretty fast. You'll have time to work. Here we go. Classify the polynomial. There's 2 problems here I really dislike that they leave them just kind of smack together. There are 2 problems there. Okay, do a little squiggle line or something to break those up. So problem 1. Right? Yeah, there are 2 problems here. God, I hate when they do that. Okay, so the first one, right? Every time you run into a plus or a minus, you chop it up. I see there's 2 boxes. There's 2 terms. I go back to my little cheater chart and it tells me that something with 2 terms, not degree, 2 terms is what? Binomial. I look at my next one. Every time I run into a plus or a minus, it's a new term. I see 3 terms. I look at my cheater chart and it says 3 terms is trinomial. My kid's been fighting me for weeks that he says he really likes the bikes at the rec center. Like, yeah, they got the really cool bikes that got the 2 wheels on the back. Dude, those are called tricycles. No, they're bikes. Like, he is adamant. They are everything that you ride with wheels is called a bike. Well, no, that's something you drive, not ride.
You can ride in a car.
We're talking 4-year-old logic. On the next one, find the degree of this term.
Because it's not separated by a minus or a plus.
Oh, no, the degree.
Oh, 4.
So no. Read the problem explains the problem. How many variables are there with exponents?
1.
Lies. 2. Because that little invisible one up there. How many times I gotta tell you, stop rushing for the answer? Okay? There's 2 variables with exponents. There's a 1 and a 4, so altogether the degree is 5, but we have a big kid word for that.
It is. Let me find it.
Quintic.
It's a trap! What did we write next to that? What did we write next to that?
5.
Only if
Oh, so
there's
5.
one variable. If there's only one variable, then I can call it a quintic. But because there was more than one variable, I'll just say it's a degree 5. Those special names only work when there's one variable. You're going to use them a lot when we get into Algebra 2. Okay? We'll use them a little bit here in the next couple weeks with Algebra 1 as well. Okay, that's sneaky. So I hope you wrote that down. If this was negative 7x to the 5th, okay, now it's a quintic. But as soon as I throw that next to it, now there's 2 variables. I'll just add the exponents together and say it's a degree 8, and I'll be done. Okay? Only when there's one variable do you get the special names. All right. Find the degree of the polynomial. So the first thing I'll do is break up, where are my terms? 1, 2, 3 terms. Every time I run into a plus or minus, I chop it up. And I'll say that there are 3 terms. Find the degree of each term. Here I see a 7, so it's just 7. Here I see an 8, it's just an 8. Do not look at the coefficient. Don't look at the number in front of the variable, we're looking at the exponents. And then this one in the middle had 2 variables, so I'm going to add them together and get 9. Since 9 is the big dog, 9 is the biggest of them, we had 7, 9, and 8 as our degrees of the terms. I'm going to say it's a degree 9 because that's the that's the big dog of the group. That's the one who determines. Now we're going to go watch Batman. Okay. Well, I want to go watch Batman. I want to go hike. Too bad we're watching Batman. Okay. If you got someone who does that, they shouldn't be your friend. That's just a dominating jerk. Okay. So, classify each binomial. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So you do 1, we do the rest. You do 5, and we do 5.
No. Instead,
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Paxton, which one of those do I have to do?
You have to 10.
Going straight for the throat. All right. What's the first thing I should do?
Count split it.
Split it so I can count my terms. I see 3 terms. The degree of the first term, negative 3p cubed, is, only look at the exponent, 3. The degree of 3pq squared, I don't see any exponents, so is it just 0?
It's 1.
Invisible 1. So it's 1?
Yeah.
Oh, they both got an invisible 1, so I say 1 plus 1 is 2. And the degree of 5q is
1.
invisible 1. So I look at it all together. It was 3, 2, and then 1. The big dog is 3. Will I call this a cubic because of degree 3? Okay, you just said yes, no, yes.
Yes.
There's,
Yes.
it's not that there's multiple terms, it's that there's multiple variables. There's more than one variable, so it doesn't get the special name. I just call it degree 3. Okay? Well, right now we're not doing math with it. We're just classifying it. The math comes later. We got to know what the crap we're talking about before we can do the math. So, there are 9 problems. Volunteer or get drafted. No, you're doing all 9 of them right now. Do them, practice them. And then you're going to volunteer or get drafted for who's saying what. Okay? You are doing all of them, but as to who has to say what, volunteer or get drafted.
Please.
Why do I always... Mike Ha. I keep calling him Mike Ha instead of Mike Ah.
5. 5.
Okay.
Michael 4.
Or was... I heard... Too bad you already said it.
No. Take it back.
3?
Take my place. I already got that. So please, I change your mind.
What?
Can I get 7?
What? Oh,
Can I get 7?
check yourself. You got 7? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Got it.
This one right? I think I did. But I'd like to get a double check.
Okay.
Because
But we're talking about number of terms up here. This is degree. I want to know by number of terms. So that's the first chart. If they say degree, you're using this stuff. If they say by terms, you're using this stuff.
Oh, okay, so it's a model.
There you go. Do all of them.
That's what we do, right? If it's more than 6, or more than 5.
No.
Degree.
Classify and degree. So the first one is by terms. How many terms are there? When they say classify by terms, you're using this chart.
Okay.
When they say by degree,
This
you're
is
using these
A.
ones. Yep. Yeah, they kind of worded their directions poorly. Looks okay.
I know, but this is why you bring a pencil every day to class. You had a bag full of pencils the other day. Okay, keep going. How many terms?
Yeah, this won't be long.
This is pretty easy.
Yep. So we're going to start the unit off nice and tame. We're just going to worry about, do we understand our vocabulary? So that later, when I say factor the polynomial into a pair of binomials, you know what I'm saying. Okay? Okay, starting at the top. Sir A of J. Okay, you all know what you had. Oh, you don't have to write it. These are all just going to be like verbal. They're super quick. You don't have to write it unless you want to write it. You want to write it? He doesn't want to write it. Okay. So starting with number 1, AJ says there are 2 terms, so it's called a binomial. Okay. 2, who was that?
Me.
Micah?
There's 1 term.
There is 1 term, so it is a
Monomial.
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 No, it doesn't have an extra no in there. Now, that is fair though, because you have monomial, so they just, oh, now you're not going to let me do it? Screw you, Frank. There we go. We have a mono, meaning 1, nomial, meaning term, but then they jam them together like that as just monomial. Okay? Instead of saying mononomial. I mean, that would be more fun to say, but all right. A mononomial? No. No. 3, who had that?
There's 3 terms, so it's trinomial.
3 terms, trinomial. Good. Who was 4?
There are 2 terms and
Binomial. They're all going to end with nomial. Okay? Yes, 2 terms, binomial. Here, let's do this instead. Frank. All right. 5. Oh, yeah, Kevin's like, nah, I just want to write it. I want to write it. Okay. What do we got? 2 binomial. That's not too bad for board writing. People's handwriting is usually a lot worse up on the board. That's pretty good. Okay. There are 2 terms. It is a binomial. 6. Who had it? Geneva, what do you think? There are 3 terms, so it's a trinomial. Girl. Okay. What about 7 was Paxton? How many variables have exponents?
3 plus 7 equals 10, 3 is 10.
Okay, does it get a special name? No, there's 2 variables. No special name for you. 8, Kai, you got left because we were drafted. Are you there yet? Okay, what do you got? There's 3 variables altogether. The sum is 611. It is degree 8. Does it get a special name? Do I get to call it like a wouldn't that be a octic? No. Okay, there's too many variables. No special name for you. And 9.
There are 2 terms. The degree of 9xy is 1 plus 1 equals 2. And the degree of x is 2. The degree of the polynomial is 2.
Okay, so I'm just going to say it's a degree 2, and that's it. If there's 2 terms, what is it called? Binomial. Yep. No? We're just making sure you know what the terms are right now, okay? You flip it over. You see it's starting getting a little bigger, a little uglier.
Still the same thing, though.
Still the same thing. Ow, dude. How many terms are there? 2 terms, so I call it a binomial. The degree of each term. The first guy, I see 1 plus 7 is 8. The degree of the second is 6 plus 3 is 9. So you pick the big dog. You pick whichever one is more, whoever's got more oomph to it, and it is 9. Now, when we get to our homework, when they say to classify it and name its degree, the way that we put this together is we say it is a degree 9 binomial. Okay? Or binomial of degree 9. No. Extra 4 or 5 letters ain't going to hurt you. Okay? So now they're going to say do both. Classify it by its number of terms and tell me the degree. Do both. Both. Oh wait, there's 4 there. Do both boths. How about that?
Wait, what?
There's 4 problems there. Do both boths.
Yeah,
13 makes.
Oh, yeah, 13 doesn't make sense.
I think I figured it out.
Oh, because maybe you have to know which one is bigger before you write that.
Oh my god.
Oh no!
I know which one is bigger.
No, this is literally like counting potato head parts. I'm pretty sure you can add numbers.
Huh? 11, 14. Okay, but that's not even. But that's okay. Right.
Now, not done. Almost. I mean, we're almost done.
So on these, it would be a quadratic.
Yes. And that's the very last thing we're doing, yes. Ah!
Try and grab one of those 3x's.
How about one of those?
Oh.
Mike, and they're right next to the hand sanitizer over there.
No, they're empty.
Oh, wow.
Who leaves an empty box there? That's like the person who finishes off the milk and then puts it back in.
That's what my brother does. Just leaves the empty box in the fridge.
Okay. Contestant 1. I only see one term, so it's called a
Monomial.
monomial. And the degree is just 7 because that's the only exponent I see. Round 2. Okay, this one had a little more oomph to it because I needed to take 1 plus 11 plus 2, 5 plus 4, and then 14. I needed to kind of do that.
What? Yeah, it's RS11 plus
The degree is
RS11
plus
14,
1 plus 11 plus 2. What do you mean?
What?
It's a
It's supposed to be
trinomial.
111.
I just did the
111.
right side.
Yeah, 1 and 11 and 2. So it does have 3 terms. It is a trinomial. Now, hey, be careful that if I have 1 plus 11 plus 2 is 14, wasn't there already an r to the 14th? So how do I know what the degree is? It's still 14. Can you have a peer group in which there is more than one person who is like big dog? Okay, more than one person, like it's these two. When the power couple says that we're going here, we're going here. Okay? So they were both 14, so I still say 14. Over here, this is I see 1, 2, 3 terms, so I call it a trinomial. What is the degree? What's the biggest? 2. But unlike number 13, where I had too many variables, this only has one variable. So what do I call it? What's its special name?
2.
No.
Oh,
Back to that front page. Back to that front page. I have one variable. What is the special name for degree 2? Why are you all just blurting stuff out?
It's quadratic.
If you haven't figured this out by this point of the year, you cannot just blurt things out until I stop you when you're right. It doesn't work that way. All right. How many terms?
2.
There's 2 terms. The degree is 1, yes. It is a binomial. Does it have more than one variable? No. So if it only has one variable, that means it's eligible for special name. What is special name degree 1? Linear. And then at the bottom, we put it all together and say, in crystal design, the area of each square is modeled by this equation. Classify the polynomial. What is its degree? When they say classify, they mean classify by terms. I find all my terms and I say,
there are 3 terms.
so it's a trinomial.
But it's quadratic.
The degree, the highest exponent is 2. I don't say 2 plus 1 because these are different terms. They're split. They are different terms. I don't put them together. I only add up exponents when they're all in the same term smashed together. So I just look for, well, this has a degree of 0, this has a degree of 1, this has a degree of 2. The biggest degree is 2. So I say this thing is degree 2, and since it only has one variable, so I would say this is a quadratic trinomial. Notice how quadratic ends with tic, like the suffix that means of this quality. Quadratic. Okay, so so that means it can be used as both a noun and an adjective. Quadratic trinomial. Flip it over. Stuff and a stop sign. Get them all. Yeah. Man, if only you had 15 minutes in class to do that.
Isn't that crazy? It looks like we do.
Whee! All right.